Hi, Leo.
Hello, Cait. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm surviving these cold temperatures. They're actually getting better. I was so
The,
happy to see 52 the other day.
I know it felt like a balmy spring day with the
I
40s, and
almost
I
got my
couldn't
shorts and
believe it.
t-shirts out.
So,
Yeah.
so for those of you listening that don't know, Leo and I are both geographically in Pennsylvania, and it's mid-February right now when we're recording. But the last 3 weeks have been like record lows for us. I don't think we've seen temperatures this low since I moved to Pennsylvania in 2018. Since I've lived in Pennsylvania,
And not
it's
only just
been wild,
cold, but so windy that it
windy.
makes it extra
Yeah,
cold. And it's just a bitey, nasty cold.
yeah,
So I did have a little trip to Hawaii to kind of break
yeah.
things
You
up a little bit.
did.
Got to rub it in a little bit. I spoke at the University of Hawaii Strength Symposium, and
Yeah.
so I spent a few days out there. And oh my God, then I had to come back. It was literally 20 degrees.
Was it hard to come back, Leo?
What do you think?
Don't tell
What do you
Patty. I
think?
won't tell Patty.
Yeah, I actually got a little sunburn, believe it
Oh
or
my
not.
goodness. I
Got to
believe
hang out
it.
on
I
got to
believe
hang out
it.
on the beach a little bit. Yeah, and they
Yeah.
they are so nice out there too.
That's always a great conference. Yeah.
Everybody is so nice, and it's a great conference, and they take good care of you.
Yeah.
So it's not to mention the temperatures 79, 80 degrees,
Can't beat
really tough
that.
to take.
Can't beat that. I know I was supposed to
Yeah,
go down to Florida this month, and I was bummed that the trip got canceled. It would have been a fun little break
yeah,
in this cold weather. But
yeah. Well, spring's right around the corner. You got to
spring's
be
right around the corner.
optimistic about it. Yeah.
Yep. And now it's a holiday for a lot of places. President's Day when we're recording. I have my daughter who just turned 5. You may hear her in the background. She may even come over and say hi to us. We'll see.
We are
She's
talking
home from
families
school.
today,
It's
so that's
perfect.
appropriate.
It is
That's appropriate.
perfect. Yeah. So I thought it would be fun for us today to really just talk about, because I think you and I have very similar life philosophies around family and family first and the value of family and our why for doing a lot of the work we do in the world. And we also have very different experiences in a couple different areas, right? Different generations and how, family was viewed generationally, different genders and stereotypical or non stereotypical roles in the family, different areas of weightlifting and strength and conditioning that we've both worked in professionally. You spending a lot of your career in higher ed, or excuse me, high school. Me spending a good chunk of my career in higher ed, and then my own business. So I just thought it would be neat because I think a lot of people can relate to both of us. And oh, see, and you've got your fur kid trying to jump in there.
I
I saw that.
Yeah, she had to come up and say hi.
She knew. She's
How
like,
dare you keep me out
"I'm
of your
I'm
office?
family. I'm
Patty let her in.
family." I just thought people could really relate to it because I know at different points in my career, it was hard. It was really hard. I mean, raising a family on its own is hard. And then you add in, the work that we do and the requirements of that work sometimes. It's also, I think, a blessing in a lot of ways to have flexibility depending on the path you choose. So, yeah, let's do it. Let's jump in.
Well, and I think our experiences really help us be better coaches, understanding what our
Absolutely.
athletes are going through,
Yeah.
because it's not like a situation where all of our athletes are in an Olympic training center setting where
Right.
that's their full time and they're getting their meals taken care of and all the outside stresses that happen in the real world. That's a different world, and
Right.
so when you're coaching, I think you have to take into all those things into consideration when putting the program together. I mean, you can't put together a 6 days a week training session with 3 of them double sessions when they got family, they got a
That's
lot of
it.
other stuff going
Yeah.
on, they got jobs, so all of those things I think have to be taken into consideration, and that's I think a lot of our experiences kind of attest to that we've been
Yeah.
through a lot of this and we understand it's not just about the training. It's
Right.
not just about the competing. That's just part of what we do. And you got to have a life.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
life takes up a lot of time.
Yeah.
And you need to compartmentalize. And we'll talk about that a good bit, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely not easy. And I think at different points in my career, I think it's one of those things that you don't know until you know. right? You can think like before if you choose to become a parent or have a family, raise a family, regardless of whatever industry you go in, but especially in our industry, you don't know the challenges and the decisions that you are going to have to make and choose between until you are in it, right? I don't know that I could have predicted the impact that raising a family would have had on my career until I was really in it, and then I started to see what those day-to-day decisions were, big picture decisions, jobs that I decided not to even pursue because of the season of life that we were in as a family. And as a mom especially, I mentioned my daughter's 5, and so now we're just kind of at that season where she's not relying on us but me specifically as mom as much as she was in the early years, right? And so it's been a wild ride. But was there ever a point in your career where you had this big reckoning or noticing around or made a decision based on wanting to raise a family? Or I would love to hear more about that, because I don't think you and I have ever really talked a ton about that.
Yeah, well, what I found was that before kids, we all tend to be, I hate to use the word selfish, but yeah, because the world
Sure.
revolves around you and your wife.
Yeah.
It's all about us.
Right.
Well, as soon as you have a child, that ain't true anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, the world revolves around them, and what we do as parents has to circle around what their life is all about. So we have to give in to some things, like for instance, before the kids came around, I was training pretty seriously, training 5 days a week, and some double sessions here and there, doing my squats at lunchtime. Sometimes I would be, 9, 10 o'clock at home here training, and but I could do that then. Okay.
Right.
Then, I mean, heck, I had some cases where it would be Thanksgiving Day, and I'd to get my training in first before we did any of the family stuff.
Right.
So, again, you could be a little bit more selfish. And now that really is a big reason why I retired from lifting. I actually was doing my best lifting when I was 32.
Sure.
But that's when, the first baby was here, was a year or two old, and I'm like, I can't do this. I was spreading myself between, family and my own lifting, and I just felt like I wasn't able to really give the lifting 100% that I needed to, and I was fine with that.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah. I didn't no regrets at all. But that also allowed me to do a lot more coaching. So that's where, as soon as I retired from lifting, I could do a lot of the family stuff, and I could still do a lot of the coaching stuff, because it wasn't on the day-to-day, got to be there every minute sort of thing for the lifting. So that's really the main reason why I got out, because I was in the best shape. When I was 32, I was doing my best lifting.
Yeah.
But things change.
Do you think a lot of that you were able to do, because I have a little bit of a different experience, obviously, but do you think a lot of that you were able to do also because of the area of the field you were in, like being in a high school setting and what those hours are versus, say, like college strength and conditioning, and how much do you think that played into it?
Yeah, because I pretty much had a regular schedule.
Right.
Now there was a lot of hours at school, because I was coaching things at the high school level as well, besides just the weightlifting. So I had a pretty full plate.
Right.
And because I coached wrestling was my big deal right out of college, and that was most of what I did. But then, in the high school situation, they need coaches, so you got to jump in and help. Even heck, I coached tennis, I coached track, coached gymnastics, a little bit of everything, but because they needed that. But it still wasn't the crazy hours that the college strength coaches have to do.
Right.
So I was able. Plus, I was able to bring the kids to a lot of the stuff that I did. They got as 4, 5, 6-year-olds, and they're hanging out with high school kids, and the high school kids love that.
Yeah, I feel like we're right at that age where we're starting to see that too, because Riley's 5. Yeah. My stepdaughter's 14, so now her friends love having Riley around with different things. And
exactly, and that is so cool for both groups involved.
Yes.
The older kids as well as the younger ones.
Hello, Ry. Yes. What's up?
She said, "Are you talking about me?"
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Do you want to hold it? Okay. Thanks for letting me know.
She said, "I know you were talking about me."
She's like, I hear you. I heard my name. She keeps me on my toes.
Yeah.
And every time Rob just looks at me and he goes, she's all you. Like she is all mini Cait.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think it's interesting because I have obviously a different experience, and I'm sure some of this is like some of it's gender and being mom, and some of it is um, having been in higher ed, right? I feel like some of it is the perfect storm of like I had Riley during COVID and like that whole big blow up and transition of the field and how that impacted athletics and higher ed in general. And so for me, it was an interesting shift because it's actually where I stepped away from athletics and higher ed and really started building my own thing up pretty full time when I had Riley. And even over the last 5 years being a mom, it's been interesting because there's been things that I was like, oh man, like that would be such a cool job to be like with. And I've had to like not even put my name in because of, you know, the season of life that we're in. And again, same thing, like I have no regrets. Like it was a very intentional decision with some of that stuff. But it's just sometimes I sit back and I like look at that fork in the road where like things changed professionally for me when I decided to have a family. And I think we have that other layer too of being a blended family and being an hour away from my stepdaughter, that carries a whole nother level of barriers at times. But, you know, Rob and I talk about a lot. He's a competitive athlete as well, but in a different sport still, even in our 40s, he's a competitive archer, and how he trains now is very different than I think he would like to ideally train at the range because of schedules, just the reality of schedules and what that's like, and all of that. So it's definitely a lot.
Well, and just to give you an example, Jillian Seaman,
Seaman, you know?
she was one of our best lifters, and she decided to get married and have babies. That's great. And so she was on the low key fit there for a while. She had the first child and wanted to get into lifting a little bit. So we started off probably a little bit. She was a little bit more aggressive than she thought she should be, and
Yeah.
we started off a little aggressively, and then we had to back it down. Then she had a second baby, and gradually getting back into it. Well, she's only training 3 days a week. I'd love to have her training 4 or 5 like she was before, but 3 is working.
Yep.
She goes to the AO finals. That was her first meet in 3 years, and she was like 5 kilos below her PRs. I went 6 for 6. So a lot of times you just have to kind of go with the flow and say,
Yeah.
how can we best optimize where you are now? And that's what we try to do as coaching anyway. You know,
Sure.
no matter what athlete that you get, you take them from where they are, okay, not from where you think they should be, but where they are, and go from there. And
Yeah.
so it has to do with family as well.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's so much about like managing expectations, and I think that's so much of what coaching is anyway, managing our own expectations, helping athletes manage their expectations, and deciding to raise a family in this industry is such a parallel experience to that. Is like you have to have really real conversations with yourself of what your expectations are and what's realistic, and give yourself grace and recognize that it's a season. And it doesn't mean that you can't accomplish things. It just may mean priorities are shifting and capacity is shifting. What's hard to watch is when I see young moms, young dads, young parents just like bull through and still try and do everything the same way, whether it's lifting or just they're professionally, like just try and keep everything going that they were doing before. It's not realistic. Not to the level or the way you were doing it before. It has to adjust.
Well, for a lot of different reasons, I think recovery is
Yeah.
the big thing. Okay.
Yeah, that's if we're talking purely athletics, but I'm talking about like professionally and everything, like not just training. I'm talking about also like you can't put in the hours professionally that you were doing before.
Well, what I found that really has been successful for me is just you have to learn how to compartmentalize. And I always kind of brag about the fact that, hey, when I do something, whatever I choose to do, I'm 100% focused on that.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not that I'm not aware of other things going on, but 100% focused. When I play hard. When I work hard. And I try to stay as focused and in the moment as I can. I
Yeah.
think sometimes I tend to almost forget the things I've done because, people say, well, last week, didn't you do this? I don't know. I'm moving on. I really have to force myself to kind of slow down a little bit and
Yeah.
focus, just stay in the moment, focus on where I am right now, still looking ahead. I think, if anything, I look ahead too much. But I also have to take some time to reflect and look back on what we've done as well.
Right.
So, just compartmentalizing, I think, is a pretty important thing. Hi, Rye. I saw that hand flying up there.
Bye, Ray.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I think it's Rob and I talk about that a lot. I think, we talk about whether that's a gender thing or a personality thing. It's a lot easier for him to do that than it is for me to do that. And, we have a lot of conversations around like mental load and recognizing where, I'm carrying all the mental load and where some of that can shift and he can take on some of that. And for me, in the early days of raising a family, because of the choices we made, a lot of that mental load was on me, and because of the nature of being a mom and the primary kind of default caregiver in those early years, and it was at times easy to get really resentful about that towards my partner, and even like professionally, like get resentful that I couldn't do some of the things I wanted to do professionally. But as she's gotten older and we've learned how to really parent strongly together, I've naturally seen that shift occur, and it's like, oh, it's like that same thing of like, this is a different season now of parenting. This is a different season professionally than it was before. This is a different season, and how that shifts so much too, whether it's in parenting or in, the professions of it. Do you think that who your partner was plays a big part into how you were able to so successfully juggle both?
Oh, my God. They don't call her St. Patty for nothing. Okay. Yeah, I've been very fortunate. We've been married. March will be 51 years.
Yeah.
Plus, we went together for 6 years before we got married. So she knew what she was getting into.
Sure.
But I just don't have enough good things to say about it. There's just no way I would have been able to do the things that I do and the time that I put in without the support of a really strong-willed, strong person. She's the strongest person I know. I'm telling you. And hi, Rye. I like to say she has a high tolerance for pain, putting up with me. But then again, it works both ways. Sometimes
sure,
I have
of course.
To too. But I think we have a pretty good relationship, and she understands the things that are important to me. I understand the things that are important to her. So maybe I shouldn't say this, but we never argue. Because what we do is, and it's amazing after all these years. I thought COVID was going to be a really good test. We did great. I started drinking a little bit too much during COVID, but our conversations were really good.
No filters.
Yeah, but the point is that you just can't do it without the support of family and friends. And in her case, it's she's just been the best. I can't say enough good stuff.
Yeah, I think
Saint
that's
Patty,
such
I'm telling
a St. Patty. I think that's such a big part of the conversation though that we don't have, and like, obviously I'm speaking from the lens of being a woman in the field, being a mom, all of that, especially as a female who worked in a very male-dominated area even within an already male-dominated field, but working in football specifically, and like, as watching a lot of my colleagues start to become dads and like how they were able to, and it changed for them too. Like, don't get me wrong, a lot of, sacrifices, a lot of decisions to be made, sacrifices of not spending time with family, having to show up differently to the role, being a, college football coach. but they were all able to do it because of that anchor and that partner at home. And when I had Riley, I ended up perfect storm of having Riley, COVID, all that, stepped out of that world when I had her. And I do have a very supportive partner, but he's also in a very demanding career. So it would have been a very different dynamic, I think, for us to figure out than maybe some of my male counterparts, especially in those early years with an infant, right? What does it look like when I need to be at the weight room or on the practice field at 5 a.m. and I've got a 1-year-old at home, and there's women out there that do it. And I just think it's such a fascinating conversation, because how we figure out how to each juggle that in our family dynamics in an industry that demands so much from us as coaches is it's just interesting to hear all the stories. And
Well, I really ran into a lot of that when I was at my school the last 6 or 7 years. I was athletic director and in charge of hiring and firing
yeah,
coaches. And if you teach physical education, one of the expectations at the high school level is that you coach 1 or 2 varsity sports,
yeah,
or at least JV sports. And I was, supportive of that 100%. You know, the attitude I had was like, hey, you're a physical education teacher, male or female, you should be coaching 1 or 2 sports,
right,
no questions asked. Well, I really changed my attitude when my own daughter was coaching varsity volleyball at her high school, and she had been coaching for like 10 years. Well, she ended up getting married, had a baby, still continued to coach, and I'm like, yeah,
yeah,
that's what you should do. And then the second baby came along. It's like, man, I don't know how you do that.
right,
And then the third baby, it's just like, Carrie, I'm telling you, you're a great coach, you're a great mom, but be a mom, okay?
yeah,
So she still teaches physical education. She still works with the corollary program. It's
okay,
like some of the special needs kids that they have different.
nice,
Not
cool,
nearly as much time commitment at all.
sure,
So she's able to do that, but I just had a different attitude
yeah.
after I really saw up close and personal. Okay, maybe I'm being a bit of a chauvinist here. Maybe I should understand that that's a much different situation.
It's hard, and I think it is different, and I think regardless of the differences, everyone has to make decisions that are going to be the best thing for their family and their situation, and the supports and the partnership they either have at home with extended family or partner, whatever that is. It's certainly a challenge, and it's as someone who has gone through it and experienced it, it's hard to have to make those decisions. Something that you're really passionate about and really good at, and something that is a very deep part of who you are. Becoming a mom changed me completely, who I was at my core. And I think I've said this already, but now where I am, like with having a 5-year-old, like I almost feel like I'm just coming up for air, like with what's possible now professionally and what I can do again and what I can. And don't get me wrong, I built like this big successful business while I had her, and like that's crazy to think about also. But I made that choice very intentionally because I wanted a different level of freedom and flexibility to say, no, I'm only working 10 hours this week because all the other time I want to be with her, or whatever that looks like. And now that's shifting again significantly as she's, school age and all of those things.
Well, even our relationship, you and I, you do a lot of things for my business, Totten Training, and you even made it clear that, hey, Saturday and Sunday, no emails, no text, and I
Yep.
was fine with that. I
Yeah. Yeah.
understood totally, because
Yeah.
that was family time.
Yep.
And again, compartmentalizing. It's like,
Yep.
okay, Monday through Friday, business,
Yep.
well, and family.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But Saturday, Sunday, family takes
Sacred
over.
time for us. Yeah. And
Exactly.
that was a hard boundary for me to put in place early on, because it wasn't, and it was a little bit pre-family because Rob and I were building this blended family. So before I had Riley, I had been in my stepdaughter's life for years. And so but when I really got intentional about starting to put that boundary in place, it was hard at first because I think societally and our industry especially, it's like you're constantly encouraged to like hustle and go to get to where you want to go, right? You got to work hard, you got to be disciplined, and those are all great attributes, but there's also a dark side to that when that's all you're doing and there's no boundaries in place. And I think the last 5 years for me, especially, I've swung to such the opposite extreme of putting those boundaries in place and backing off of the hustle and backing off of the, the go, and just enjoying life and raising a family and all of that. And now I'm kind of like, oh, I kind of want to like hustle a little more again and get out there. My brain, like, that other side of my brain wants that again. And, but that was a really hard boundary, not just with you specifically, but in general to put in place initially, because there was so much like guilt and people pleaser in me that was like, no, I have to be available. And it's like, no, I don't. This is what works for me and my family right now. And this is where it's at. And that's okay.
Well, and that just shows too what you were mentioning about the different cycles of where we are,
Yes.
different seasons, so to speak. Well, I'm retired,
Yeah.
so weekends for me, I get just as much stuff done as I do during the week.
That's
Because
it.
every day is a weekend day for me.
Rub it in.
Well, no, but the point here is
No,
that
it's
I'm in a different situation than
That's
you
it.
are. So that's why I had to kind of back off. And it was hard for me not sending the stuff to you or calling on a Saturday or Sunday. But I understand.
Well, you can send it all you want. I just won't answer.
Won't get a response.
That's it.
But no, but just understanding the different seasons, so to speak. And,
Yeah.
and I understand that. And,
Yeah.
experienced a lot of that stuff myself.
Yeah. 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 I think it'd be fun to bring in some other people.
Oh, I have one in mind.
Yeah, who we know would love talking about this, and I've got a couple names, but I want to hear yours because I think I know.
First one's got to be Phil Sabatini.
We got to bring Phil back because
of course.
he's lived that similar spectrum, both from an athlete standpoint, coaching in college standpoint, shifting out of all of that in order to be with his family more. A kick-ass supportive wife who also does a lot of amazing things too, and I think hearing him share about their journey would be phenomenal.
Absolutely. He coaches Little League Baseball with his son. Just all kinds of good stuff. So, yeah, bring him back. Who else do you have in mind?
Well, I think Jillian would be fun to bring on as an
that'd be another
athlete.
good choice. Yeah.
And even knowing some of the big career pivots she started making as she knew she wanted to start a family and what that looked like. I think it would be fun to hear from her.
Yep, I think that'd be a really good option. Bring Chris Tabor back.
Yeah.
He's
a
got
new
a little
dad.
guy.
Two now?
He's a dad.
Is he two now?
I think 2.5 maybe.
2.5?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
I know
in that
it's
range,
all blurring. It's all blurring. And he and his wife both work, professionals, both doctorates.
Yeah. So a lot of us are going through all this.
Oh,
and,
yeah. I think it's a really normal thing that we don't talk about enough.
Yeah, because
And then people
everything's
feel
focused
alone.
on and everybody's focused on the training.
Yeah.
And, well, there's a lot of outside stuff that's going on to make that training the most effective. And I think talking about that is something that a pretty important part of that training.
Yeah, I agree. Awesome.
So,
good stuff.
And I must say about my daughters. Okay?
Yeah, you've got some
Kinda
pretty
cool.
kick-ass daughters you've raised, Leo.
Well, no doubt. I'm so proud of them. And it's one of those things where when they were little, I still did a good bit of travel and out of town a good bit, okay? And I was kind of worried that maybe it was too much,
Yeah.
And it probably was. But the cool thing is that both of them are physical education teachers, coaches, really good athletes. When they were doing their sports in high school and college, Patty and I both, we made time to get to all their stuff. We never missed. Matter of fact, they put together a surprise 45th anniversary thing for us.
I remember that.
They got up and were talking and stuff, and one of the things they said was that, we never missed anything. Heck, Kristen was the gymnast and went to Eastern Michigan University. Patty and I drove out to, she had like 5 or 6 home meets. We drove out there 5 or 6 times in the dead of winter.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, didn't hit any snow the whole time. That's
Wow.
unbelievable.
That is unbelievable.
December, January, February, 5 or 6 trips. I was amazed. But
Yeah.
anyway, the
No,
point is that
yes.
they are physical education teachers and
Yeah.
coaches. So kind of, chip off the old block. So that
I
makes Dad
love
feel
that.
pretty good.
I can't
And
wait to see where our girls go.
they're both really into fitness
Cool.
and nutrition and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to think that, maybe I didn't overdo it like I thought maybe I did, but then to see the results of what they were doing, I guess I did okay.
You did okay.
Makes me feel better anyway.
That's it.
But again, could not have done that without Patty's support. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Well, and that's the key. And like Rob and I have made the active choice together that we, at least one of us, gets to all of Avery. Mostly it's predominantly Rob going up to Avery's stuff, and she lives an hour north from us, but she's a freshman, first year in high school now, so she's in the marching band, she did volleyball, she's in the plays. It's a lot of stuff, and it's really important to us that she knows that one of us, in addition to her mom, is always there. And it's a lot, but we made that choice because that's really important to us in this season of life, because this season is going to go by so quickly for her, and we want her to know how supported she is in the things that she's choosing to explore. And is that shift what we are doing athletically, professionally, all of that? Yeah, it's having an impact on it, but
Yeah.
it's a choice that we got to make, and we're honored to make it, even though it's a challenge at times.
Yeah. And they remember that. And you don't, that the time really does fly. I mean, I know people say that, but I'm telling you, especially the older you get,
Yeah.
it just seems like
Let
every
me
week
tell
it's
you.
just boom, it's gone.
Yeah.
So when they're little, don't miss that stuff.
Yeah.
Because it goes by. Next thing you know, well, just like when, Rye's going to be asking to borrow the car keys
Stop.
tomorrow. I'm telling you, it happens that fast.
Stop.
You know?
I'm not
And,
ready.
when you go through the different stages, like, oh my God, they're going to be in diapers forever. And oh my God, when are they going to stop crying through the night? And you hear, next thing you know, they're in second grade. Next thing you
Yeah.
know, they're a senior. Next thing, it
Yeah.
really does go fast. So,
Yeah.
like I said, try to stay in the moment. Don't be thinking
Yeah.
ahead. Don't be thinking of the past. Don't be thinking
good
of all the
advice.
negative stuff. Just think about where you are right now and pay attention. And I think
Easier said than done, but great advice. That's the
absolutely,
advice I would.
absolutely.
Yep.
And
Awesome.
I had to learn that. It was tough. It is.
It's not an easy lesson to learn. You have to like I said earlier, you don't know until you're in it, and that's when those lessons come out.
Yeah.
But you couldn't have learned that until you got in it and
Yeah.
started to realize and started
Life's all about you until
Yep.
it's not.
until it's not. Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome, Leo. Well, I would say for anyone listening along right now, this episode will be coming out in February. We've got some cool stuff in the works coming up, some new stuff that's going to be coming out on the website. So if you don't already follow us on the website, hop on over there. Make sure you're on our newsletter, tottentraining.com, or follow us on any of the social media platforms at Totten Training, and that will be where the most up-to-date information will be. Leo and I have a full 2026 calendar already. I can't believe we're scheduling out into the fall already, both of us.
I know.
It's
I know.
bonkers. Lots of USAW courses, some Totten training courses, some speaking. So make sure you are checking out our website and staying up to date on where we're at, or reach out to bring us to a facility near you.
Yeah. And really, feel free to contact anytime.
Yeah.
Text, call, email.
Don't text or call me.
Personal questions, whatever.
Text or call Leo.
It always gets me. Well, I hate to bother you, but it's not a bother. That's the point.
You wouldn't respond if you weren't available.
We both enjoy helping, and that's why we're here. So it's not a bother at all. Feel free to contact us anytime.
Yep. And we'll respond when we're available. That's the boundary.
I usually do it within 24 hours.
That's usually my rule, within 24.
I'm in a different situation.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but don't contact Cait on the weekend now. That's the only thing.
No, don't text Cait.
You can text me anytime. I'm an old retired guy. So
You can text me. You
enjoy
can message me and email me anytime. I just won't respond right away.
That's fine.
That's it.
I get
It is fine. It is.
I just hate to bother you on the weekend. That's all.
You just did what you said you didn't like.
I just did that too, I
Gotcha.
know. But it is a bother when that's not when you want to be bothered.
Sure. Yeah.
So, okay.
All right, everyone.
I enjoy these talks, and
I
I'm
love
looking
it.
forward to the next few. We have some good
We have
guest
some
speakers
great
coming up
guests
soon.
coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Make sure you pay attention.
Yes. All right,
All
Leo.
right. All right. Thanks, Cait.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.